epilepsy, it's not a mental illness, it's a disorder of the brain, and it affects 1 in 100 people. It can begin at any stage in life. And for Lowell Evans, it wasn't until he was 20 that he discovered it affected him. His story on how he coped and is now bringing awareness makes him this week's I Am Hampton Roads.
There are so many different types of seizures, but I only have to deal with one of them.
My name is Lowell Evans. I'm an author, publisher of a book called The Village. I was motivated to do this because of the condition I had back in 1980. I had a fall in college playing basketball. I went up for a rebound to get the ball and somebody undercut me and I fell back on my head. And yes, it did hurt. And I was trying to get my thoughts together and people were saying, you okay? Hello, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. And I couldn't get my thoughts together. And then they said, you know what day it is? And the only reason why I remember what day it was because I got paid that day. It was payday, so it was a Thursday. And then I started putting things together, but I still didn't recognize me as being hurt or injured. And from that point on, I was facing with the challenges of society, not understanding what epilepsy was. I looked at a number of times where people were confused about what I could do as a human being just because I had this thing called a seizure. So basically what I had to do was convince myself and others that I was no different than anyone else. My message about epilepsy to this, I have epilepsy, but epilepsy does not have me. I've created a character named Mr. Kevin Bolden because everybody was afraid to say they had epilepsy, and that was including me at one time. There was no name they could relate to. You look at blindness, you have Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles. You look at someone who might have Parkinson's, you have someone like Michael J. Fox. But when it came down to epilepsy, there was nobody I could think of to really relate to or say, hey, look, he made it, or this guy made it. When it came down to epilepsy, a person didn't want to be labeled as a person that would fall out and just sound like they're crazy, they didn't know what to do with them. And the lack of knowledge is what really made epilepsy what people wanted to call the invisible condition. A number of times I've just given my book to people who have really been suffering because of the lack of knowledge in society about epilepsy. And it has really changed the lives of many kids and families. One young man that didn't want to go back to school or church because of the peer pressure and discrimination, after he got my book and understood that there was even a U.S. president had epilepsy and an actor like Danny Glover, he changed his whole demeanor and he just was ready to start over again and say, I'm normal. We use the term trust. The T stands for just turn them over if they having a seizure, turn them over on the side. The R is to remove objects around them. The U is for putting something under their head so they won't hit their head. Okay. The S is to stay calm and let it just work itself out. And the other T is to time it. If an epilepsy seizure lasts more than 5 minutes, that's the time to call 911. It has to be the idea that you have to have somebody to represent epilepsy. So the character Kevin Bolden, he basically is a person that everybody sees each and every day, but they don't get to know him until the epilepsy comes into play. And then when the epilepsy comes in, they're kind of scared because they don't know about it. So education is the key. My name is Lowell Evans. I'm the author of The Village, and The Village is coming. I have epilepsy, but it does not have me. I am Hampton Roads.
Attaboy, Lowell. It's a great story.
Like
Lowell has a few events coming up if you want to hear him speak, and we'll have all of that information, dates, times, and where it's going to be, and also how you can contact him on our website at thehamptonroadshow.com.
Be educated, know what to do in case you see somebody having a fit like that, because I've seen a seizure before. It is scary. Know what to do to help.
Know what to do. Make sure you get knowledge is power.
Good job, Lowell.
All right.